Dhavina Trianna V, and today I will tell you about conversation in different contexts. Number one is in a meeting. During Indonesian meetings, people usually sit in a circle to encourage open discussion and participation. Meetings can be formal but may also include more informal. Social elements, building rapport and personal connection is often a significant part of the process. While punctuality is valued, there may be a more relaxed attitude toward times, and meeting might not start as strictly. In Japan, seating is arranged based on hierarchy with the most senior members at the head of the table. Punctuality is a crucial in Japan. Arriving on time or slightly early is seen as a sign of respect and professionalism. Meetings are generally formal with a clear agenda and structure format. There is a strong emphasis on preparedness and detailed documentation. And number two is during lunchtime. Indonesians often share meals, passing dishes around as a gesture of togetherness and respect. And about alcohol, alcohol may or may not be part of the meal, depending on the religious and cultural background of the participant. In many museums, in many Muslim majority settings, alcohol is avoided. Uh, about conversation, lunchtime is a good opportunity to engage in more relaxed and personal conversation. Indonesian value building personal connections, so discussing family, hobbies, and personal interests is a common and appreciated. In Japan, lunch is a time for mindfulness where kids show gratitude before eating their beautifully arranged bento boxes. And drinking alcohol, especially sake or beer, can be a part of the meal. It's customary to pour drinks for others rather than for oneself. Conversation during meals, conversation can remain formal, but they also offer a chance to discuss non-business topics to build personal rapport. Sensitive or controversial topics are generally avoided. And number three is visiting someone sick. In Japan, uh, they go to with the smaller group. Visit typically involve closer family member or a single close friend. Uh, what about timing? Visits should be brief, usually around 50 until 30 minutes, to avoid tiring the patient. It's the best visit during designated visiting hours if they are in hospital. Behavior: show calm and respectful demeanor. Avoid loud conversation and ensure your visit is soothing and supportive. In Indonesia, usually with a large group, it's common for a larger group of friends and family to visit together, creating a lively atmosphere. Timing: visits are usually more flexible, but it's still important to be considerate of the patient's needs. Consult with the family to choose an appropriate time. With the behavior, be supportive and show empathy. Indonesians often appreciate warm and friendly demeanor, providing comfort through presence and conversation. And the last is visiting someone's house. In Indonesian, length of visit can be longer and less structured. Feel free to stay and chat for a while, but be mindful of not overstaying your welcome. What about shoes? Many Indonesian households require you to remove your shoes before entering. Follow the host lead greetings, like shake hands gently and use the right hand. And for a greeting and exchange, say Assalamualaikum or a simple like Selamat siang. Uh, in Japan, line of visits tend to be shorter and more focused. Arrive on time and leave after a reasonable amount of conversation. Invitation: what to be invited before visiting someone's house. and announced visit are common and can be considered impolite. A gift, if it's customary to bring a small gift known as temiyage, such as sweet fruits or regional specialty. The gift should be nicely wrapped. Shoes, always remove your shoes at the entrance. You will be given indoor slippers to wear. They may also be separate slipper for the bedroom. And gift, bring in small gift like snack, fruit, or something for the household is appreciated. And that's all for me. And thank you. Next material.
Hello everyone, so in this occasion I will explain about the eating out in Indonesian and Japanese culture. First one, in Indonesian and Japanese culture involves different practice and meaning. In Indonesian culture, eating out is often a social activity. Families, friends, and colleagues frequently gather at restaurants or food stalls known as warung to enjoy meals together. It's a way to bond and spend quality time with loved ones. While in Japanese culture, eating out in Japan involves a higher level of etiquette and formality. There are specific rules about how to behave, such as not talking loudly, and then not placing chopsticks directly on the table and showing appreciation to the set. And the second one is, where does eating out usually take place in Indonesian culture, and what does eating out usually take place in Japanese culture? In Indonesian culture, eating out usually take place in warung, street food stalls, food courts, and restaurants, while in Japanese, there there are izakayas. So it's like informal pubs where people gather to drink and eat a variety of small choices. Izakayas are popular for after work socializing. And then the second one is ramen shop and sushi bars. And then kaiseki restaurant and street food stalls and festival. And the last one is cafe and kisaten. And then when does eating out usually take place in Indonesian culture, and when does eating out usually take place in Japanese culture? In Indonesian culture, usually take place at weekend and evening, and then special occasion, and then lunch break, late night. While in Japanese culture, weekends and evening, and then after work, like colleges often go out for drinks and meals, or as known as nomikai after work, and then special occasion just like Indonesian, and then lunch break also seasonal. Even like eating out is popular during cherry blossom season and festival, often involving outdoor stalls. And then uh, who perform eating who perform eating out in Indonesian culture, and who performs eating out in Japanese culture. So in Indonesian culture, there are people eating out like families, friends, colleagues, young people, and special occasions like celebration like birthday and religious event. And then in Japanese culture, like families dine out on weekend on and for special occasion, and then friends meet at izakayas, cafes, and casual dining spots. And then in colleges, like participate in after work gatherings like nomikai, and then business meeting, young people, special occasion. And then how eating out aspect performed or shown in Indonesian culture, and how eating out aspect performed or shown in Japanese culture. In Indonesian culture, eating out is performed like for social interaction, and then types of venues like warung, street food stalls, and in special occasions just like birthday, anniversary, religious festival, or etc. While in Japanese culture, eating out is performed by social interaction like after work gatherings and family dining, socializing with friends. The next one I will talk about wedding. The question number one is, what does wedding mean in Indonesian culture, and what does wedding mean in Japanese culture? As you know, wedding is just like two people, two couples just getting married. So in Indonesian culture, there are cultural significance like reflect the diverse ethnic groups of Indonesia, and then symbolize the union of the couple and their families. And then while in Japanese culture, there are significance about culture like blends tradition and modernity, emphasize harmony, respect for tradition and family unity. And then, where does wedding usually take place in Indonesian culture, and what does wedding usually take place in Japanese culture? So, in Indonesian culture, usually take place when seasonal consideration, astrological and religious factors, and then day of the week like auspicious day are chosen according to 10 days like Tuesdays and Saturdays. And then when in astrological and religious factors, it's like influenced by astrological beliefs and religious calendars, such as at Japanese, as you know, in Japanese there are Kliwon, Pon, Wage, and etc. And then in community and family schedules. Well, in Japanese, time of wedding is like seasonal preference, like commonly held in spring, April and May, and autumn, October and November for pleasant weather and beautiful scenery. And then lucky dates, like it's selected based on the Rukoyo calendar, covering auspicious days like Kayan and avoiding unauspicious days like Kutsunetsu. And there are usually take place when national holidays and weekend. And then, where does wedding usually take place in Indonesian culture, and what does wedding usually take place in Japanese culture? In Indonesian culture, wedding usually take place at homes and then places of worship like mosques, churches, or temples, depending on their religion, and then like banquet halls and hotels. It's like popular in urban areas. Then traditional and cultural sites, locations like Pendopo in Japanese pavilions. While in Japanese wedding, they're usually take in Shinto shrines, so it's like traditional and sacred atmosphere for Shinto wedding, and then hotel and wedding halls, then garden and historic sites, and the last one is Christian church. And then who perform wedding in Indonesian culture and who perform wedding in Japanese culture? In Indonesian culture, wedding performed by a religious leader like Islamic wedding. When in Islamic wedding, a penghulu or qadi, Islamic judge, conducts the ijab kabul ceremony, and then Christian weddings, priest or minister officiates in a court, and then Buddhist weddings, a Buddhist monk performs the ceremony. And then while in Japanese wedding, performed by Shinto priests like conduct ceremonies at a shrine, including purification rites, and then offerings and sex exchange sansang tudo. And then in Christian clergy, officiate Western style first weddings, including vows, ring exchange, and blessings. The last one is like civil official, conduct civil ceremonies at city halls or other municipal location. And the last question is about how wedding aspects performed are shown in Indonesian culture and how wedding aspects performed are in Japanese culture. In Japanese culture, in Indonesian culture, I mean, wedding aspect and performed by pre-wedding rituals like siraman and then midodareni, then ceremonial attire, and then wedding ceremony in Islamic like ijab kabul ceremony, and then in Christian, court vows and blessing, while in Hindu, temple ritual and fire blessing. And then there are the next performance like reception, including traditional music, dance, a feast, and the couple on a ceremonial stage or pelaminan. And then traditional elements like sungkeman, tumpeng, while in Japanese wedding, performance by pre-wedding rituals or as known as yuino. So it's like engagement ceremony with gift exchange. And then the next one is ceremonial attire. So in the ceremonial attire, brides wear white and colorful kimonos. Grooms wear formal black kimonos. And then wedding ceremony. So Shinto, shrine rituals with purification and sex exchange or as known as sansantudo. In Western style, chapel ceremonies with clothes and rings, and then there are also have reception and then traditional elements. Sansankudo is sex sharing between families. And then Kagami Biraki, breaking a sex barrel for good fortune. And then I will talk about funerals, Indonesian funerals and Japanese funerals. So in Indonesian funerals, they have a meaning like cultural diversity. Indonesia is diverse with various ethnic groups and religions influencing funeral customs. And then in Japanese, there are cultural significance also. Funerals hold great importance in Japanese culture and marked by deeply rooted tradition and ritual. Then the second one is where do funerals usually take place in Indonesian culture and what do funerals usually take place in Japanese culture? In Indonesian culture, usually take place in family homes and then mosque, church or temple and then graveyard and crematorium. While in Japanese, funeral homes and then Buddhist temple, also crematorium, also family altars. And then the third question is when does funeral usually take place in Indonesian culture and when does funeral usually take place in Japanese culture? In Indonesian culture, usually take place when soon after death, Indonesian funerals typically take place shortly after the person passing, often within a day or two, especially in Muslim communities where burial should occur as soon as possible after death. And then consideration of religious customs, so the timing may also be influenced by religious custom and beliefs. For example, in Hindu and Buddhist communities, there are maybe specific ritual or observances that dictate the timing of the funeral. Just like in Bali, there are ngaben, and then community coordination. While in Japanese culture, like within a week. Japanese funerals typically take place within a week of the person's passing, allowing time for family members to make arrangements and for relatives and friends to travel to attend the funerals. And then consideration of Buddhist beliefs. Buddhist beliefs influence the timing of funerals with some traditions suggesting that the deceased spirit should be laid to rest as soon as possible to facilitate their journey to the afterlife. And then who perform funerals? In Indonesian culture, family members and community are usually performing funerals. So they should organize and perform funerals, right? And then religious leader, Islamic clerics, Christian priests, Hindu priests, or Buddhist monks conduct rituals in prayer. And then traditional leader may oversee and participate in ceremonies, especially in culturally rich areas. Well, in Japanese culture, Buddhist priests lead funeral rituals and then chant sutras and conduct ceremonies. And then funeral directors organize logistics such as venue and transportation, and then family members. The last one is how funeral aspect performed in Indonesian Japanese culture. In Indonesian culture, performance by ritual and ceremonies so include washing and shouldering the body, prayers, and burial or cremation rituals led by religious leaders, and then community participation like friends, relatives, and community members gather to offer support and condolences, often accompanied by communal meals. While in funeral in Japanese culture performed by these rituals like conducted by Buddhist priests featuring chanting sutras, offering incense, and performing sankudo ceremonies. And for formal ceremony follows a structured sequence of rituals emphasizing formality and respect for tradition, often with attendance during morning attire. And then gathering. So gathering in Indonesia is social bonds, family and community event, and then hospitality, cultural diversity. In social bonds, it means they should opportunities for socializing, strengthening relationships, and fostering communities. And then in family and community events, celebrate milestones like weddings, birthday, and religious festival. While in Japanese culture, they have meaning like formality and respect, and then team building and bonding, seasonal cultural events, and etiquette and ritual. The next question, the answer for the next question is in homes, community halls or centers, and then outdoor spaces, also restaurant or cafe. While in Japanese culture, they typically take the place like izakayas and restaurant, and then karaoke bars, ryokans or onsen resort. For more formal or special occasion, gathering may take place at ryokan. So it's like traditional Japanese inns or onsen resort, providing a serene and relaxing environment for socializing and bonding. And then shrines or temples. The answer for question number three is when religious festival and holidays like Eid al-Fitr and Eid al-Adha, and then Nyepi and Galungan, also Christmas and Easter, and then life events, wedding, like birthdays and anniversaries, for funerals also, and community and social events. While in Japanese, their gatherings usually take place in seasonal and cultural events like New Year or Shinenkai. So family gathering for shrine visits and traditional custom, and then cherry blossom viewing or hanami, and then Obon Festival. Obon Festival is summer event honoring ancestor with grave visits and community festival, and then in live events like wedding, birthday, and anniversary, just like in Indonesia. And then business and social gathering like nomikai and then enkai or banquets, formal or semi-formal business or celebratory gatherings, and then school and club activities. And then who perform gathering in Indonesian usually performs by family members and then community leaders, also event planners, while in Japanese performed by Buddhist priests, family officiants, and then family members. When in funeral, there are ordination and support providers. And the last one is how gathering aspect. In Indonesian, it's performance and display by warm hospitality like food and beverages and a welcoming atmosphere. Also rituals and ceremonies, religious prayers and rituals, where in Japanese, they're performed by formality and etiquette and politeness and respect. Also organized structure, rituals and traditional. Also social interaction. They also have team building and bonding. The last one is flag ceremony. I will talk about flag ceremony. In Indonesian, flag ceremony is so important, like patriotism and national pride symbolize national unity and pride. And then educational purpose, historical significance, while in Japanese, usually mean by symbolize respect and love for the nation and reinforce national identity and unity. The answer for question number two, it usually takes place in weekly school rituals in Indonesian, like Mondays. So it's regularly held at the beginning of the school week, and the national holidays, Independence Day on August 17th, the most significant flag ceremony, and then other national holidays. Also special events and commemoration, significant historical anniversaries like government and military events. While in Japanese, it usually takes place when significant school events like entrance ceremonies beginning of the school year in April, and then graduation ceremonies, completion of the school year in March, like National Foundation Day also in February 11. It's celebrated in school, and national holidays, also special event and commemoration like historical milestone. And then the answer for the third question is usually take place in schools, and then government office, and then public space, military base, community centers. While in Japanese, it usually takes place in schools, government office, just like in Indonesian. so it's not different. And then the answer number four is who perform is school authorities, the teacher and principals oversee flag ceremonies in school, involving student participation also. And then in government official, local leaders, and military personnel lead flag ceremonies. And then while in community leader, usually by religious leaders and village elders may participate. While in Japanese, performed by school authorities, just like in Indonesia, teacher and principal, also the students must be join the ceremony. And then in government official, like local official and military personnel lead ceremonies, communities and government office. And then corporate representative, like corporate executive may lead ceremonies at company headquarters during important events. And then the last one is how like ceremony aspect performed. Participants stand in Indonesian, participants stand in A formation showing respect and discipline. And then the national flag is raised while the national anthem is sung. And then speeches and prayer by school principal or community leaders, and then cultural elements like traditional attire and music might be included. While in Japanese, performance and display participation stand with precision adhering to strict protocol. The Japanese flag is raised while the national anthem is played, and then speeches reflect on values like unity and respect, emphasize on simplicity and tradition, with minimal culture and like embellishment. Thank you. I think that's all for me. Good day.
Now, I would like to tell you guys about the different gesture between Indonesia and Japan. Handshake in Indonesia, it is tend to be light and gentle. Handshakes can be accompanied by a slight bow of the head. In some areas, especially for Muslim people, handshake is also common to greet someone with using both of our hand, but it is not necessarily shake like this. You use like this, but we use it and we found it in Hari Raya moment. But in the daily interaction of handshake, maybe we will found it like this. It is same too way in Japan. Handshake in Japan are less common in daily interaction compared to Indonesia. Japanese people prefer using bowing over than handshake, especially in a formal moment. For nodding, in Indonesia, it is often signifies to showing our agreement or acknowledgement and also the understanding. It is a way to show that as a listener, we pay attention to the speaker to listen and understand what the speakers is talking about. But in Japan, it is same too with Indonesia, but in Japan is used more often, or maybe it is frequently used during conversation to show attentiveness and understanding. It is a continuous gesture that shows the listener is engaged and following along the conversation. For eye contact, both of Indonesia and Japan, when we see someone for 1 second or 2 second, or maybe had eye contact like this, it is maybe it's okay. But in Indonesia, direct eye contact can be seen as impolite or confrontational, especially between people or different social status. It is more common to see indirect eye contact to showing the respect and humility. In Japan, it is same too. Eye contact in Japan can be perceived as a rude, or maybe someone will assume us as aggressive people. People in Japan often avoid direct eye contact, same with Indonesia, especially in hierarchical situation to show the respect and differences. For bowing, maybe in Indonesia and Japan, we see someone bowing to others, but in Indonesia, bowing is not a traditional part of Indonesian culture. However, a slight bow of the head can be seen as a sign of respectful, especially when we greeting someone's older than us or someone who have a higher position in the some of institution. But in Japan, bowing is a fundamental part of Japanese culture, and it is used in daily life for greetings, saying goodbye or farewells, apologize, and expressions of gratitude. The depth and duration of the bow depend on the situation and the social status of the person being greeted, same as Indonesia. For smiling in Indonesia, it is a common gesture in Indonesia, and it is often used to convey friendliness, politeness, and welcoming attitude. It is a way to put others at ease and create a pleasant social environment. But in Japan, smile can convey a range of emotion, including friendliness, politeness, and sometimes feel uncomfortable. Japanese people might smile to avoid confrontation or to maintain their harmony or their mood, even if they are feeling upset or disagree.
So, the last point is about interesting aspect. First aspect is finding machine. In Japan, as we know, finding machine is a machine sell about foods, goods, treats, drink, and toys, and anything else if we need. And usually we can find in everywhere in the Japan. So if we go to big city, we can find a finding machine, and if we go to like a village, we can find too. And maybe it's there are about 5 million finding machine in Japan. So if in Indonesia, we can find vending machine too, but it's not too much. Like in a big city, like we go to a capital city in Indonesia, there's some finding machine we can find. So the second aspect is about self-serving. Self-serving is a method where a customer serve themselves without the help of employees. And if in Japan, we can find a self-service like in supermarket, ATM, bank, restaurant, or place have that method. So yeah, like how to self-service is like we serve ourselves without employees' help. If Indonesia, there's self-service too, but just like we can call prasmanan, like we can serve ourselves, like take it the food. We can take it the food without help from employees. So the third aspect is about crossing the road. Like in Japan, if the children crossing the road, they raise their hand. It's sign of stop. the vehicle, and they and in the middle from crossing, and they bow that sign of a thank you to the vehicle stop it stop the vehicle. If in Indonesia, like usually we wait until the red light and we cross like usual in the crosswalk. So this is the fourth aspect, and this is, I think, the unique one, because I tell about the toilets in Japan. If you know, like if you look at the news or in the TV, like toilets in Japan have many buttons for flushing, for noisy, or for something else. But in Indonesia, we just have a one button for flush, like a usual toilet in the world. So the last aspect is about slurp noodle is a good manner in Japan, because they think if we slurp the noodle is a good manner, and second is we appreciate the dish because the chef serve us the dish. If Indonesia, if we serve the noodle is not good manner, because the soup of the noodle is spill everywhere, and maybe our parents or people around us tell like that's a bad manner of eating noodle. And that's all for me, and that's interesting aspect between Indonesia and Japan I explained, and thank you.